Hola, 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 everyone, and thank you so much for joining the next episode of the Amiga Mía Talk Show. And I'm really excited to have a guest dialing in today straight from Colombia. I think that's where you are at the moment. And really exciting because we have upcoming the HSBC Latin American Film Festival that you might have seen being promoted across many different cities in Australia. And one of those incredible films that is being showcased is called La Salsa Vive, a documentary that really explores the journey and the history behind salsa, which is so beautiful because we actually have the director here, Juan Carvajal, con nosotros, with us. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
We really love having you as a part of this because before we started recording, we just briefly spoke about how the Latin community here is small, but it's mighty. It's less than 1% of total population, but it is thriving. And what's even more beautiful is that in Australia, salsa is still in the Latin community and in the broader Australian community, one of the most dominant genres. People love it. A lot of people dance. There's a lot of salsa dance schools in every state in Australia. So extra special to have you with us today.
That's the main reason, salsa is alive. It's because of people who love salsa. This Latino thing that we carry, wherever we go, is with us. So salsa is a thing and it's alive because of people. It's something that I really believe. We have seen different people in different countries, like in America, the United States, in Canada, in Latin America, or in Europe. People like to go outside and dance, and they are attracted to this kind of movement called salsa. And that's a beautiful thing.
It is. And I think that here in Australia, we do often mirror a lot of what happens in the US. And so we are very used to seeing, I guess, the salsa scene that you explore in your documentary from New York. A lot of that sort of is drawn to Australia. And then we also do have here a growing scene of more of the Cuban salsa, the salsa from Puerto Rico. But as we sort of mentioned before, in the most recent years, we've had a very strong growing community of Colombians. And what's beautiful now is we're also starting to see an influence of the Colombian salsa caleña. And I think it's actually going to be really powerful for different parts of the community to watch your documentary and understand the real roots and some of the themes that you explore in that as well. Before we get into some of the details, Juan, have you visited Australia before?
No, not at all.
No. Okay.
I have some friends were there, as I mentioned before. We started, and beautiful friends, and they have been living there like for 10, 20 years. But they know I had not, gotten the opportunity to go there. I'd love to,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, we would love to have you. How does it feel that the documentary has reached this side of the world?
It's really exciting. Because when I started working and writing this movie, at that time I didn't expecting what have been happening through all this from the last year. There was a premiere in July till today. The movie has been traveling all over the world. The reception is beautiful. We have seen different reaction in the theaters. People, they cry. They remember everything that happened with their parents. When they start listening to salsa. And it has been a beautiful journey. I'm really happy. I'm really happy that the film has reached Australia at this point. It's really exciting. I'm thrilled.
I'm not sure if all of them, but there's a lot of cities where Palace Cinemas, so for those listening, if you don't know, Palace Cinemas are the ones who are hosting the HSBC Spanish and Latin American Film Festival. They're actually presenting La Salsa Vive, and then afterwards they're having salsa for people to dance. Going back to the documentary, so it took is it 8 to 12 years to really like bring it to life? Is that right?
Yeah, it's right. Because I had the grand opportunity to meet Maestro Larry Harlow in New York. And then I asked him what happened, with salsa in New York, because I grew up listening to salsa in Cali, Colombia, which is well known as the capital of salsa. And then, I moved to New York, and I was trying to find what happened with salsa over there, trying to search for the salsa roots in New York. And then I couldn't find anything like it, So because I missed the whole thing in the 80s and 70s. So we had a lot of discussions with Maestro Harlow, and we decided to make a film together. The film was called Lamento de un Guajiro, which is a Cuban song that he worked with La Fania All Star. And it was I wanted to tell the story of the salsa in New York, but unfortunately, the COVID came, and the maestro passed away right after the COVID. So when I was in New York, and then I decided to go to Cali to see, what was happening. And what I found in Cali is what you guys are gonna see, are you gonna feel, are you gonna watch the last 30 minutes of the film, because I wanted to present what is Cali in the third act of the film. And this is what I found. So I moved again to New York, and then I start talking to different people over there. I say, hey, I have this idea to tell the story of, it's kind of a story of my life, because,
Right.
I wanted to tell what happened between Cali and New York, but also the movie, it comes with different stories that, when I was a child, and I had the chance to see my parents dancing in the porch, listening to Radio Habana, Cuba, and I started listening to boleros and son and cha cha cha, mambo, and all those all kind of rhythms that shape what everything what I am right now. So when I moved to New York, I couldn't find anything, so I decided to tell the story of salsa in New York. So it was a beautiful thing, and the reception, as I said before, has been really, really beautiful.
I love that part in the beginning of the documentary when I saw it, and it sort of spoke about how there's a lot of genres or genres that sit underneath salsa, but a lot of people they sort of look at it as just salsa. But really, there's so many other ones, and how it explores that, and where you really bring all the key figures to help explain the story. I definitely noticed the switching between Puerto Rico and Cali. Has so many different perspectives.
Yes.
Um, that is an interesting one for me, because even I didn't know. Obviously, I knew some of the themes underneath salsa, but I didn't know all of them. So that was
Yeah,
quite.
I talked a lot with Rubén Blades and Henry Fiola, and El Maestro José Lebrón and Willie Rosario. We had the amazing opportunity to have them into the film, and they are really clear about what salsa is, because salsa, as you mentioned, it is different genres, but they were born in Cuba, and what the Funny All Star did, they took all those rhythms, and they just, they put a little bit of the sound of New York, and pop, and different kind of things that urban thing, the sound of the New York street. And they created this thing called salsa, and they put all of those rhythms under the umbrella that is called salsa. And one of the guys who had in the film, unfortunately, he passed away. He said, "Salsa, no, 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 no. Salsa is more than that, because we need to respect all those rhythms that came from Cuba." But yeah, it's a thing. It's something that people have been discussing and talking through all these years. But people know one rhythm as salsa.
Yeah. Absolutely. And also something that I also found quite interesting is you really dive into some of the more important themes, I would say from my perspective, which are talking about how salsa was a survival tool or a form of survival for many children and for communities. Maybe they were a little bit underserved, underrepresented, maybe going through economic challenge and societal challenge. And hearing the story of survival, that was very impactful to share the story. And there was such raw stories as well.
Yeah, what is happening is salsa. I'm right here in Cali, Colombia right now. I'm working on a new film. But salsa save lives in this city. There are a lot of issues in this city. Invisible borders, gangs, and different fights, in different neighborhoods. But when people, and that is something that you guys in Australia, in Europe, in different parts of the world know perfectly, is that when you are when you cling, you are attached to culture, you say life, you know, it's like you embrace culture and you embrace and you teach all those kids and you put money in culture, you know, you save lives. It's something that unfortunately in Latin America, many countries, they don't invest what is better for kids, to have a healthy communities. But now in Cali, Colombia, they have been working with different neighborhoods and trying to help them, and you can see most of those guys who like to dance, who likes to, working with a different kind of culture or singing or dancing. They are traveling all over the world, and they are like a reference from different people in the hood. So they say, oh, for example, Kevin, who is part of the film, Julesi. People in their neighborhood, they say, oh, this is amazing to see you guys, and in Netflix, and going all over the world, and people are, they know your story and everything, and we want to do the same. So they inspire people, the people who, again, if you embrace culture, you will be better.
I definitely love that part about the inspiring and hope,
Yeah,
that if they can do
it's
it, I
hope.
can do
Yeah,
it as well. The element of
yeah.
hope. It's also nice to see that it's more than talent. They're representing a lot more than talent. It is the story, it is the way that this influences their community, the way that it inspires many as well. You got to speak to some incredible people, even like Willie Rosario. What was it like, trying to get a hold of them, talking to them, recording all of this? What was that process like?
Oh, it was really nice, and they were open to do it, because I knew Larry Harlow. Everything started with him. And then when I remember, I had the opportunity to meet Maestro Rubén Blaze like a few years ago. And then I was in Cali, and let me tell you this: I was here in Cali. I was shooting in the neighborhood, in a difficult neighborhood, and then I remember that I sent Rubén an email like at 2 or 3 in the morning, because I was really, really moved that night about something that happened while we were recording some interviews over there. And I was like, when I went back to the hotel, I was scanning the press, and I sent him an email. And he wrote this song called Las Calles, which is part of the film. Las Calles, he tells the story of different people who, even though their struggle, you know, even though their problems, they survive, and they dance, and they work together, for their communities. Rubén said that those are like a small and beautiful island that belongs to different neighborhoods, and they keep, the neighborhood alive. So I sent this email to Maestro Rubén Blaze. I'm sorry. I say, hey, Maestro, I'm here in Cali. I'm kind of depressed, and you have this a beautiful song called Las Calles. I'm making a new movie. So I'm thinking about that song, and I want to ask you for that song. I would really love that song into the movie because I'm in Cali. Las Calles is a perfect fit, for this film. And he answered like 1 hour later. He say, yeah, he say, hey, Juan, you can have it. You can have it, and let me know if you need anything else. So I say, yeah, I need anything else. I need to talk to you. Let's do an interview. And the interview was in New York. And then I reached out to Willie Rosario and to Maestro Henry Fiol. And it was a beautiful thing to put everything together, and everything fit perfectly. So it was really cool to have all of them into the movie. And I was in Cali, in La Feria de Cali, and Maestro Willie Rosario went over there to play. And I had the chance to talk to him and say, Maestro, I'm making this movie about salsa. So I'll say, let's do the interview. So yeah, it was nice.
It's like a library of archives as much as it is a documentary. Like that is going to serve to be an asset for the rest of time, really. What an honor to be able to speak to that many people who have such an impact and legacy. You must be filled with so much like knowledge, and I don't know how you would explain that feeling. It's
No,
amazing.
after after our interview with Maestro Rubén Blaze, I came home, and I was like, what? I talked like for 3 or 4 hours with Rubén Blaze. And at some point, yeah, it was like a 4 hours interview. And at some point, I felt like, oh my goodness, this is almost 8 p.m. Maestro, we should, just finishing here. I say, are you sure? You don't have more questions? I say, Maestro, we have been talking like for 4 hours.
Wow.
I say, you sure? We can continue. I don't have any problem. He say, okay, a couple more. And then because we start like at 3:30 and we finish it almost 11 p.m. It was a long interview. Yeah, it was great. Um, and with El Maestro Dandy Rodriguez, who unfortunately he didn't had the chance to watch the film. He passed away right after we finished the film. It was in New York as well, and he did a lot of things. He created different orchestras that he was so sad because we were chatting. I say, hey, Maestro, I'm working on the editing of the film. I need some picture of you when you created La Típica 73. He said, yeah, Juan, let me send you some pics. And he said, I keep all those shots, And then he sent me those pics, and I was working on the editing. And a month after we were chatting, he, his wife he said, no, he just had a stroke, and let's pray for him. But after 2 months, he was like he couldn't blow this year away. So it was really sad to lose him.
Absolutely, and I think it serves even, so powerful to be able to have that opportunity to capture those moments,
Of course, of
and share
course.
it with the world and share it with Australia. I think coming back to having this film being showcased in Australia and giving us an insight into the creative minds of these maestros. Also, in the film, there was a moment I found quite interesting. I don't remember which part of the documentary it was, but how there was these big parties
Oh,
in Colombia, and
yeah,
they would have all of them in one night. I was like, that is crazy. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
incredible.
Uh, that house, I grew up in a house like that because it's kind of for my memories when I was a child. And La Abuelulos, Fiesta de Cuota. Abuelulos, they were like a party for kids, for us to learn how to dance salsa caleña. Fiesta de Cuota, it was for, like I was like 18 or 17 when I used to go to those parties. But now in Cali, you can see all over the city this kind of parties on the streets. This is a normal thing. I remember that when we premiered South by Southwest last year, I don't want to spoil anything in here, but there is a moment in the film where there are like I don't know, 1,000 people dancing on the street, and someone asked me, "Hey, it was difficult to put all these extras together." I said, "No, no, 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 no. Those are not extras. If you go to Cali at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. by the river, it's like at the boulevard. You can see all those people dancing on the street, and they go there and they have fun, and people can go there. It's called La Calle El Sabor. Some people, it's like every Wednesday, Tuesday, Friday, people, when they go off the office and, they finish their work, they go and for a beer or something, and they start dancing on the street. It's happening here in the city. I think this is what they call this city the capital of salsa.
Was there anything there that whilst you were creating this that you found to be like a moment of surprise or something that really changed you, or you found information that really shocked you or anything like that?
Yeah. When I was, editing the film, I didn't know at some point how to leave New York, because the movie is about Cali and New York. But I'm telling the story of New York back in the 60s and 70s, not now. What happened in the 60s and 70s in New York is not happening anymore. It was, New York is totally different, but they were a Latino thing at that point in time. And I was trying, I didn't know how to put everything together, say, okay, this is the end of New York salsa's history. And then a friend of mine called me and he said, "Hey, Juan, I found this Betacam, which is on a small cassette, and he said, "I don't know, I think there is a couple of interviews that I did back in the 80s in Cali and in New York. Check it out." So I said, "Okay, send it to me." He was in New York and I was in Bogota editing the film. So he sent me this cassette. And then I went to a friend of mine who had the machine to put to give me the chance to watch the whole thing. And it was Henry Fiol, telling, "Oh, in New York, people are not dancing anymore. They're not going on the street because blah, 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 blah." And he tells the story of exactly what I was looking for. So I was like, crying and say, "This is exactly what I was looking for." And then I put everything into the film and it fits, right at the moment.
I was going to ask about that because I recall you in the film talking about like there was a point, this I didn't even know this. There was a point in New York where salsa stopped, or like it wasn't. Yeah, that's crazy.
Because in New York it's something that is happening here in Cali. If you come to Cali, you can find like I don't know, 20, 25 clubs, salsa clubs. They're all over the city. It's Malamaña, Candela, La Topa, different clubs. So if you want to dance salsa, you just come to Cali, right? Because you will find a club in each corner of the city. And in New York, back in the 60s and 70s, there were different clubs playing salsa. But the most beautiful thing about that is like in one club, Hector Lavoe was singing along with his orchestra, right? In a different club was, I don't know, Bobby Valentin, Willie Rosario, all of those people were playing salsa in New York in the 60s and 70s. For some reason, it stopped because of the merengue, because of the hip hop, you know. So salsa, we couldn't, the clubs were closing. The last club that closed, it was recently, right after the pandemic, was the Copacabana. There are no more salsa clubs in New York. But you were telling me that people like to go and dance salsa in Australia
Yes.
in parks or in different places, right? So here, the Latin community in New York, they like to go do the same. Now, summer is coming, it's already there here. So in summer, you can see in beaches and different places, people dancing, it's the community thing. That's what I said, that people are keeping salsa alive. But this is a Latino thing. And they are like, when Americans, if you come to Cali, you can see a lot of people from all over the world walking on the street and going to different clubs at night to learn how to dance salsa caleña. It's because they were inspired by all those Latino people dancing in different places, So they see, what are these people doing? Oh, they dancing salsa. Oh, where did you learn that? Oh, in Cali, Colombia. Okay, let's go there. So it's beautiful. So people are keeping salsa alive. It's not happening what happened, before with the clubs and everything and the orchestra stuff. That's not happening anymore. You can see rarely a concert in New York every 2 or 3 months, but that's it. But on the streets, people keep salsa alive. And there are small clubs in Brooklyn, they like to go there and, dance salsa and everything. But it's the people, the Latin people.
Yeah. Keeping the spirit alive.
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
that. I
Exactly.
love that. Well, I guess actually have many questions, but I know I've only been allocated a certain amount of time. One last question would be for people in the Australian public who are watching about to watch your film. What do you like? Any words that you want to share about what they could expect or feel, or the emotion, or and beyond? Just because I feel like in Australia sometimes people, salsa is just a dance. It's just the salsa spin and
It's
the
more than
salsa
that.
music, but it's more
Yeah.
than that. So what would you
Yeah.
like them to maybe think about or take away?
They will know the story or a beautiful rhythm that shaped the Latino culture. This is salsa is what we are. We grew up listening to salsa because of the lyrics, but also we like to dance. But the lyrics comes and they were written in el barrio, the the neighborhood stories. So that's the poder, the power of salsa. The lyrics combined, of course, with the metals and the trumpet, everything that comes with salsa, congas, everything. It's rhythm, it's fuego, fire, it's everything what we are, is salsa. They will learn a little bit about Cuba, about Cali, Colombia. I'm really happy to share my city, my hometown. And this is an invitation. If you like the film, come to Cali and learn how to dance salsa caleña. You
Oof.
won't regret.
What a way to close. Thank you so much. I love that. And I think
No,
that we would all be super, super honored to be able to travel to Cali, Colombia, because it looks magnificent. And thank you so much for, I guess, your time in what you've created. I think this is going to be, as I said before, like an asset that is timeless, that is going to serve as not only a beautiful piece of entertainment, but a piece of history, what you've captured as well. So thank you. Thank you so much for talking to us today. And I'm very excited to watch for everyone to watch your La Salsa Vive documentary.
Thank you so much, and enjoy the film.
Thank you.